behind closed doors. I'm a fool for your love.
Hello everyone, my name is Anthony and welcome back to the Anthony James Show here on Sports Fan Entertainment. Like always, I'm here with my NFL Power Rankings, Week 8. Not too many changes compared to most weeks. Usually I'm moving a couple teams more than 5 spots. This is the first time I'm having all teams move 5 spots or less. And I have a few that are staying the same. Let's get right to it though. The top doesn't look too different. The top 6 are the same. Just some teams have moved around a little bit. So number 1 now are the New England Patriots, 6-1. They are currently the best team in the NFL record-wise, and frankly, they're playing like it. When you look at the Vikings, they have a lot of offensive struggles, but the Patriots, for the most part, are very good on offense and very good on defense. We'll see if that can continue for them. So they move up 1 spot this week. Talking about the Vikings, they moved down from number 1 to number 2. Played poorly against the Philadelphia Eagles. Maybe I could have moved them down a little bit more. I'm not going to overreact. They still start out strong, 5-0. They've got a good chance to beat the Bears, and 6-1 is still a great start for a team that hasn't had this type of success in quite some time. It's been since the 2009 season where the Vikings have been this great, so we'll see how it goes, but yeah, they lost. They lost to a team that also was undefeated for a little bit. I wouldn't worry too much there. Next up, we actually stay in the same spot this time. We're not seeing movement. At number 3 overall, we have the Seattle Seahawks. Mainly I kept them here because they tied, which I actually love ties. I talked about it on my channel after watching that game. I love ties. I don't know why people dislike them so much. They rarely happen. Maybe once a season if we're lucky. It was cool to see a tie, so I figure I don't think I should move a team up or down if they tie, so I kept them in the same spot here. I kept the Cowboys at number 4 too. They had a bye week. If you have a bye week, I'm probably not going to move you, so that's how I went here. I kept the Cowboys at number 4. And now number 5, we have the Denver Broncos. They move up 1 spot. They played well. They played really well, actually, against the Houston Texans, which are a borderline playoff team. So you got to give them credit there. So I move them up 1 spot. And then I move the Steelers down 1 spot to number 6. I made a video on my channel discussing the Steelers in the NFC East if you want to check it out. I know I mentioned it last week. Yes, I ended up making that. But anyway, yeah, they lost. They played well despite not having their starting quarterback. But you might want to start worrying about the Steelers. They could be sliding. After the Steelers, I have the Oakland Raiders moving up 5 spots to number 7. They are 5-2. I have to give them credit where credit's due. They currently are tied for first in the AFC West. Yes, they're currently number 1, but they haven't played the Broncos yet. So that's my justification for having the Broncos ahead of them. But still, this Raiders team I think can be very good, and thus they moved up 5 spots this week. At number 8, like the Seahawks, I kept them in the same spot. The Arizona Cardinals, you tied. Even though I want to move them down, they tied. I won't move them this week. Next up, the Philadelphia Eagles. They move up 4 slots. They beat the team that was formerly number 1 overall in these power rankings. They deserve to move up. They haven't looked good their last 2 games, but they rebounded and played well against a team that should be in the playoffs this year. After the Eagles, to round out the top 10, we have the Green Bay Packers moving up 1 slot. They beat the Chicago Bears, definitely not one of the best teams right now, but a win's a win, so I'll give them credit there. They are now back in the top 10. Moving down 4 slots, the Atlanta Falcons. It's way too early to hit the panic button, especially since we're not even halfway through the season yet for the Falcons. But the Falcons, the Buccaneers are not too far behind them. And I was high on the Buccaneers coming into this season. They didn't look good to start out, but they're doing better now. And frankly, it's too early in my mind to count out the Buccaneers. I think they have a very good shot at being the division champs this year. Falcons have been disappointing me. Yes, it's too early. It's just too early to say the Falcons won't win the division, but a lot of people were expecting them to win the division early on. I'm saying hold on. Maybe the Falcons aren't as good as we thought they were. They lost to the Chargers in a game they should have won. They were up by 2 scores late in the fourth quarter. No excuse there. They lost in overtime. Like I said, don't hit the panic button yet, but let's start bringing up that question. Next, the Kansas City Chiefs at number 12. Man, this is a good team. You got to give credit where credit's due for the Chiefs. They're 4-2. If they were in another division, they'd probably be in first right now. Like if they were in the NFC South, they'd be in first. They're not, so instead they're in third because they have the Broncos and Raiders ahead of them. Very tough division. Unfortunately, I don't think the Chiefs, Broncos, and Raiders will be going to the playoffs, but still, I think the Chiefs are a good team. And next, number 13, the New York Giants. They won. They won against the Rams across the sea, across the ocean, really. But good for them. Like I said in my video, the NFC East is such a good division. Uh, all four NFC East teams are in the top half of the league, and well deserved. They are all with a winning record right now. What a good division the NFC East is. Oh my goodness. Next, the Buffalo Bills. I moved them down 5 slots. They lost to the Dolphins. Did not look good. Yes, it was a close game, but you know what? If the Bills want to be a playoff team, which the way they've been playing, they look like they could be, that's a game they should have won. They didn't win, and now they have 3 losses to their name. And yes, it's early on in the season, but you don't want to have 3 losses this early if you're the Bills. Yes, I'm not hitting the panic button on the Bills yet, but that is so worrisome. Moving down 5 slots, the Washington Redskins. No excuse for them that game. They should have beat the Lions. No reason that they didn't. I was disappointed that they couldn't beat the Lions. What a bad finish by the Redskins. And finishing out the top half, the Cincinnati Bengals move up a slot, beat the Browns, but a win's a win. Talking about the team the Redskins lost to, the Detroit Lions move up 2 spots to 17. Lion fans, if you beat the Packers right now, we'd be talking about the Vikings and the Lions fighting for the NFC North, and I'd much rather have that. You're definitely not out. You are definitely not out. If you can beat the Vikings at least once, and if you can beat the Packers next time, you are for sure in conversation of winning the NFC North. Lions are looking better than I think a lot of people thought. Next, the Houston Texans moved down 4 slots. A very poor performance against the Denver Broncos. Granted, the Texans have played some tough opponents lately, the Vikings, the Broncos, the Patriots, but the Texans are not looking good, and the team I have right behind them right now, the Indianapolis Colts, they moved from last in the division to second. The Colts have a very good shot at beating you, and I think there's a good chance it will happen. You are lucky you came back against the Colts because right now you have a shot. If you didn't, you'd be looking from behind in this division, and the Texans do not want to do that if they want to return to the playoffs. And as I did mention, the Colts move up 1 spot. They're now 19. They won. Good for them. We'll see what happens from here. Next, the San Diego Chargers also move up 1. Good job against a tough opponent against the Falcons. I wanted to move you up more, but the way this went, that's how far I was able to move you. Chargers, oh, if you could only finish out in the 4th quarter, people will be talking so much different about you. And next, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they beat by 17 the 49ers. Yes, the 49ers are not that great of a team, but still a win's a win, and they did a pretty good job. Move up 1 slot. And we're talking about division. We are talking about division with the Buccaneers. I think we'll see the Buccaneers and Falcons fight for that NFC South. Next, the Baltimore Ravens again move down 4 slots. Not looking good. They start out 3-0. People were high on them. I was like, hold on. I look to be right. This is a 7-9 team. This is a 7-9 team, and they're playing that way. Loss again. We'll see where they go from here. But unfortunately for them, and in AFC North that I think is starting to open, the more they lose, the more it opens for the Bengals and not the Ravens too. Next, I move up 2 slots to Miami Dolphins. Great win against the Bills, who are looking pretty good thus far in the NFL season. You needed that. Jay Ajayi has gone off. Hopefully for your sake, this is not just a 2-game thing. He is looking good. We'll see how he does as the season continues. Next, the Jacksonville Jaguars move down 1 slot. They should have been able to beat the Raiders. The Raiders are a better team, but the Jaguars, they had the ability to beat the Raiders, and they didn't. That is a miss, and the Jaguars are not looking good to start the season out. Then the New York Jets move up 4 slots to 25. You finally won in a game in which you didn't have a starting quarterback. You switched between Geno, and then he got injured. He's done for the season, it looks like. Now Fitzpatrick steps in as a starter again. 2-5. You have a long road ahead of you if you want to return to the playoffs. Next up, the Tennessee Titans. I keep them at number 26, even though they lost. You know what? They do have 3 wins, and I could knock them, but they have 3 wins, and a win is a win. So instead of moving them down, I decided to keep them in the same spot. Next, the Los Angeles Rams at 27. They moved down 3 slots. What a disappointment, the Rams. They should have been able to win that game, and they didn't, or at least bring it to overtime, and they couldn't do that. Disappointing to say the least, so I move them down 3. Carolina Panthers at 28. They had a bye week, so I kept them there, just like the Cowboys. Next, the New Orleans Saints. They lost to the Chiefs. It was a somewhat close game, but a loss is a loss. I'm telling you, this team needs to get 30-plus points a game to even have a shot at winning. They didn't. They lost. You moved down 2 slots. But I kept you out of the bottom 3 because the bottom 3 still suck themselves. The Bears at 30, the San Francisco 49ers at 31, and the Cleveland Browns at 32. All 3 of these teams lost, and all 3 of these teams have not looked good throughout the NFL season. Bears, they have a tough matchup this Monday against the Vikings. Honestly, I just hope the Browns, for the Browns' sake, win a game, and I think they can win a game, but it's getting harder and harder as the season progresses. I don't know, but part of me thinks that after the season, the Browns will slowly start to turn around. Slowly. It'll be a while, but I mean, this roster, you pretty much have to hit the reset button all over the place. But that's a whole nother video that I could talk about. As for the 49ers, they haven't looked great too. They're having their own quarterback problems. But these are my power rankings. Like always, I'd love to hear your opinions, so you can leave them in the comments below. If you're new to me, you can follow me at Twitter at AnthonyJamesTV. Link in the description. You can subscribe to my channel, Anthony James TV, for my NFL predictions each week and some other videos I throw out. As I've mentioned during the video, I made a video talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers and the NFC East. If you're interested in that, I recommend you go to my channel and check it out.
Behind closed doors, I'm a fool for your love.